Thanks for joining, everyone. We're going to wait a minute or two before we get started. All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining, everyone. This is the Patent Bots webinar, and my name is Jeff O'Neill. I am the founder and CEO of Patent Bots, and I do appreciate you all taking your time out of your busy day to join us today. And the title of our webinar is Drafting to Due Diligence. And this is the agenda that we have for today. So we're going to start off with introductions to our panelists, and we have three great panelists from GTC Law Group. And then we have two topics that we're going to present to you. The first one relates to GTC's #1 patent quality score. And to give you some background, every year PatentBots does a quality ranking of law firms where we rank law firms according to uh, the number of errors in the issued patents that they've done in that year. And this year, GTC earned our #1 ranking, which is really amazing work. So they're going to tell us more about why patent quality is important and also what they do as a law firm to ensure that they're generating high quality work. Then the second topic on our agenda today is using legal tech for patent due diligence work. And I think this is a really interesting topic. It's something that you don't hear about as much, especially with the use of like legal tech tools. And GTC is going to talk about how legal tech makes them more efficient in doing this kind of work and also how it improves the quality of their analysis. And then we're going to save time at the end to answer some of your questions. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. These are the three panelists from GTC. We have Stacy, John, and Kelly, and I will let each of them give a brief intro of themselves, and we can go ahead and get started with Stacy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stacy Irizarry. I've been in the field of patent law for over 20 years and actually at this firm for nearly 20 years. I'm a patent agent. And yeah, glad to be here. Glad to see some friends as attendees.
Okay, thanks, Stacy. I'm John Monticello. I've been a practicing patent attorney for 25 years, and I've been at GTC for 18 of those years. Stacy outranks me in seniority at GTC by a year, I believe. But we don't have a lot of turnover at GTC, so a lot of us have been there a long time. I started my career with prosecution, litigation, patent prep, standard stuff, things of that nature. But GTC is a cross-functional firm. We're involved in, transactions, M&A, investments, financing. And more recently in my career, I've been able to be involved with those transactions from the patent perspective. And that's, I believe, why I know a little bit about due diligence, and happy to share what I know today. Kelly?
Hi, yeah, I'm Kelly Smith. I've been, like John, in patents for 25 years, and I'm recently became a patent agent. So it's been a fun transition. So that's me.
Great. Thanks for the great intros, everyone. So let's go into the first topic, which is the #1 patent quality ranking. And I thought it'd be helpful to give a brief background of what this is all about. So PatentBots has been doing this every year for, I think, 6 years now. And each time we do this, we download an entire year of issued patents from the USPTO. We then proofread every single one of the patents and determine the errors in each one. And then we rank law firms based on the average number of errors per patent. And the errors in particular that we look for are antecedent basis errors in the claims, claim numbering errors, which are usually going to be claim dependency errors. And then the third one is word support errors. So this is whether the words of your claims appear in the detailed description of the patent. So we select these errors because we think they're important and also that they're fairly objective. In general, people are going to agree whether these are errors or not. So it makes for a reliable, high quality ranking of the work of law firms. So this year, we ranked 710 law firms based on their patent quality, and we make the top 50 law firms public. And here we have the top 10 list. So these top 10 firms all do really amazing work, and GTC earned their top spot this year with their high quality patent work. So with that, we're going to go ahead and start asking questions to GTC Law Group. And to get started, I thought it'd be helpful just to ask, in general, why is patent quality important in your work?
I'll take that one. I think most of us here, understand the obvious reason and that an error in a patent claim can affect the scope and the enforceability. We've all heard horror stories about misplaced us or thes that have resulted in, you know, drastically bad outcomes. So, it's a matter of reducing ambiguity and providing a clear scope. And that goes into enforcement. But I think we're a lot on the prep and process side, and for us, there is the idea of avoidance of unnecessary time spent correcting errors. I mean, you have time. Like you have time out. You're often rushed, and you file your patent application, and you have time to fix it throughout the prosecution process. But every one of those uh, filings that you make to make an amendment, to make a correction, to correct a figure, to correct spec, to correct a word in a claim, it's time and money. And as we all know in this business, we're under tremendous cost pressures. So I feel like quality is important because cost and efficiency are important to our clients. Kelly's involved in a lot of our as a longtime paralegal at GTC. She knows the pain of having to file amendments like a 312 amendment, for example.
Right. Yeah. This patent bots greatly reduces just the time spent in, because we're proactive, we're able to be proactive. So we reduce the number of amendments, we reduce the number of certificates of correction. It's just, you just end up with like a better product at the end. And I know our friends in the biotech, it's, that's patent term adjustment. Like you don't want to lose those PTA days if you don't have to. So it's, there's definitely like a cost savings and a financial benefit to having, fewer needs, things
Yeah.
to correct.
Right. You're just spending more of your time arguing on the merits with the examiner, and less time about errors or things that are fixable. And the last thing I'll say about it, you asked why is it important? I think the work that we do and the work that is to highlight. It's a public facing description of what our clients are doing and their very important work and hard work that they've put in. And we want to represent that as cleanly and as beautifully as possible. So it's a reflection of our clients' work and of us. So that's probably the final reason I think it's important.
Great, that's really helpful. So I often get asked by law firms, what can my law firm do to improve its quality ranking? And the most common piece of advice I give is that you need to make sure that you are doing the quality control with all of your work. And when you're running a law firm, you need to make sure that all of your drafting attorneys are using, the proofreading tools that you have. Because if some, even a handful of your attorneys are not, then that will cause missed errors, and it will put you down in the quality rankings. So at GTC, you clearly are very good at making sure that all of your attorneys are doing proofreading of their work. And I'm curious, how do you make that happen?
I think it started with, we already have a culture of quality, and really there is an obsessive thread that runs through the culture of, making sure everything is right. And we just sort of built that way. We've always been that way. We've developed checklists, like many of the firms and people here, I'm sure have, at different junctures, and we take those very seriously. And we had always rolled those out and made those mandatory uh, prior to any of these tools. So our culture had always been to uh, be consistent, and be pretty fastidious about the quality. Um, and then when this tool came along, it just sort of fit into that culture of consistency, and we it fit in nicely. But it wasn't just that it fit in. I mean, we made it a requirement. Like it is an actual requirement, in several of our processes, that you use a tool like PatentBots to review your claims and your specifications.
Mhm.
Thanks.
It's
Go ahead, Kelly.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's actually really nice because the paralegals and other staff are involved too, like at various points in prosecution. And so like, well, you would get something from an attorney, and then if the client like inadvertently introduced an error, we're able to fix that before it gets filed. So it's not even just catching our stuff, it's just catching any error that will happen.
Mhm.
So you talked about your checklists. I'm curious, can you sort of put that in the context of like the different processes that you have in place, and maybe even talk about sort of the different stages, like the initial
Mhm.
filing, the office action responses, notice of allowance. Like, can you tell me more about what processes you have to make sure that we're maintaining quality
Mhm.
at each step in the process?
Mhm.
I can start with the drafting. So right from nascence, like right from the beginning of a patent application, we've got PatentBots right in the ribbon of Microsoft Word. And so as soon as we start drafting an application, we have it running and helping us know if our figure labels are being consistently used, if
Mhm.
elements are being consistently named,
Mhm.
if our claims have antecedent basis, if they're supported in the specification. So that's right at the beginning, right through the drafting process. Oftentimes, also, we work in teams. And so my fellow collaborators may be drafting portions of the specification on their own, or figures, writing their own claim sets. And it helps us then be consistent if we can proofread each other's work when we merge them. If they are drafted claim sets and we need to merge them, claim numbering is a breeze. So right from the beginning, it's our policy to utilize PatentBots throughout the drafting process.
Yeah, I think it's important to know that it's a continual, it's not like I do it when I'm drafting at the beginning and at the end. It's like it's always
Mhm.
open and running the check as you're going through. And by the time you get to the end, you have a document that is very unlikely to have antecedent basis, reference numeral problems, or word support, which I know you're going to talk about. We might get into some of that later. Kelly, you're on mute.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Hi. We also have it where, when you file a response, we're checking it then. It's part of the notice of allowance checklist. So we're making sure like that's your last opportunity before, you have an issued patent, your last opportunity to fix things, so that, it's there too. So it's just so ingrained that it's second nature.
Yeah. Yeah, it's required. I mean, like you have it, when somebody new comes in, they have to learn how to use it. And in our firm, paralegals put together. You talk about office action responses. Paralegals do help us create those shells, and they use patent bots to create those shells. And so, in the old days, that was a manual process, and there are times when you could have errors in, the versions of the claims that you're using. Patent bots has helped us with that. And there's various checks along the way in the preparation of the office action, the filing of it, and as Kelly said, that notice of allowance too. Those are three critical junctures, but there may be others.
Yeah, and also a lot of our clients actually have patent bots and use it. So it's kind of nice because when they will like propose an amendment, they check it too on their end. So it's kind of everybody's in the pool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Great. I'm curious, what would you guess the average number of proofreadings done per patent in its lifetime?
Oh,
I mean, during the process of drafting, it's continuous. And if you don't do it, if you're not, running it at least 15, 20 times, I'd be surprised. The frequency gets a little less at the office action stage,
Mhm.
but it's no less critical. But
Mhm.
you may have a few in there, three, and then notice of allowance the same. So I think you're at about 30, 30 times.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe we're crazy, but
Yeah.
that's where we're at.
Yeah.
but it is nice to be like proactive and get that stuff, fixed first so
Yeah.
that it doesn't, persist on to like continuing applications or stuff like that.
Right.
So it might be a little more work in the beginning, but it definitely pays off.
Which is a good point because the work talking about eliminating future work, you're eliminating the need for a 312, you're eliminating the need for just, I don't know, any kind of just a silly 112 clarity argument that you don't have to make, or an
Mhm.
antecedent basis argument. You're just eliminating that, and you're also eliminating the need or greatly reducing the need for a certificate of correction later on down the line.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. And ex parte quails, like we almost never see those. Like it
No.
just fixes a lot of things that
Right.
you
Yeah.
don't even realize that
Mhm.
when you're doing it.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. I think this is a great time to segue to the next part of our webinar. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. Um, is that coming through?
Not yet, Jeff.
All right. I lost my screen share.
Well, Jeff's pulling that up. I want to say about the certificates of correction. We do use an outside service to do our proofreading, and you know, so we still proofread the issued patents after they come out. And we're frequently getting back, no errors,
Mhm.
uh, especially since we start using this tool.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
I see
And,
my
oh,
screen share now.
Yeah, we can see your slide there.
yeah. And also the patent proofreading that is coming back, a lot of it's patent errors. So we can't control everything, but we
Patent
can
office errors, right? Patent office errors.
patent office
Yeah.
errors, yes, but not applicant errors. Yeah.
All right, great. So next topic of our webinar today is using patent legal tech for due diligence work. And I thought it'd be helpful to just start off with a little bit of background. So John, for anyone who may be less familiar with this kind of work, could you give a high-level overview of what the purpose of patent due diligence work is?
Yeah, I mean, it most often comes up in the context of a transaction, a purchase of a company that has patents, a purchase of a patent portfolio, or an investment into a company that has a patent portfolio. And from my perspective, my side of it, I'm commonly asked to perform patent diligence on the patents of the company that my client is looking to acquire or invest in.
Mhm.
So it's a lot like a home inspection of the patents. Um, so I think it's about getting to know the patents getting to know what they cover topically, but it's also looking for red flags and problems, basic problems that exist in the preparation of those patents.
So to give kind of a more concrete example of how this due diligence work can be improved with legal tech tools, we're going to go ahead and ask John to do an analysis of the PatentBot's patent portfolio, as if a hypothetical investor was interested in investing in PatentBots. And to start off with, we have the PatentBot's patent link product, and we have a list of the PatentBot's patent portfolio. So, John, at a high level, where would you start in working on this?
Yeah, so let's just continue to set that stage. Someone has, let's just say, is looking to invest in the PatentBot's portfolio, and they have asked me to take a look at the portfolio. And so the first thing that I do before I even open PatentBots is to really, I really want to understand the business case for the technology of the company, what the product roadmap is. By the time it gets to me, some very smart person has decided that they are interested in buying this company, and they know about the patents, or excuse me, they know about the technology. I want to learn from them and from the target company about the patents, or excuse me, the technology themselves, because at the end of the day, what I'm trying to determine is if the patents align with their high priority use cases, their high priority technology areas. I do see sometimes where I get in and there's a patent portfolio there, but it really doesn't have much to do with the the central value theme that the transaction is based on. So that's where I start. So getting to know the technology, getting some input on what the patents are, and then when I have that, I say, okay, I have a list of patents to look at, and then I get them and I access them on PatentBots, and I come right here.
Mhm. Okay. So to get started, I guess we might as well start with the first patent. And there's a little button here to take us to the PatentPlex view.
Yeah.
Is this something you would typically do, John?
Yeah, I would either, and yeah, you can create your PatentPlex list so that you have them all here, which is really easy to do.
Yeah.
And this is excuse me, the patent link list, but then, but the main action is in the tool PatentPlex. So I will enter, I have to get the PatentPlex on this patent here that we've chosen. I either enter it in or I get there through patent link. And so we're on this patent here. This is a patent application, I can see. So the first thing that I do is let's scroll down and get some data overview. I love this tree. So this is something I start with right away. And Jeff, would you mind checking the filing date
Yeah, I
box?
wanted to check the issued patent. I'm going to go ahead and switch to this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there we go. And yeah, we can add update the family tree, and you want the filing date.
Application number and yeah,
Okay.
and that's pretty good. That'll do. So yeah, so finally I have a patent and I can very quickly determine a few things about it graphically. So I've selected one of the patents in the PatentBots list here. You can see that it has the black outline around the one that I'm working with. And right off the bat, I can see, okay, it goes back to, it's part of a family of consecutively filed continuations, which is important. It tells me a little bit about the strategy of PatentBots, how they file things, how they look at patenting. They definitely leverage continuation practice. And then I can see that it goes back to two provisionals that were filed in the 2018 timeframe. And I can immediately see that there is an open continuation, which is important. That's sort of a right off the bat family's view that what I can garner from this first view. So then I think it really does, you sort of get that family view, and you want to start looking at the patent itself. You have to start reviewing those patents.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, we're still on this patent, and I can see a lot of things about it pretty quickly here from this page. Importantly, I can see the expiration date,
Mm-hmm.
right? These have a long term ahead of them. Scrolling down, I like to look at the timeline, and you can see right off the bat, okay, there's going to be an office action. That's going to be important for me when I review the prosecution history to determine, as part of every due diligence, you're reviewing that prosecution history to determine the scope and meaning of the claims.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there is an office action there. I know when it's issued. And the first maintenance fee looks like it's due out in the future there.
Mm-hmm. Just curious, is the number of office actions an important factor on its own, or is it more the substance of the office actions?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, there's data to me. There's potential data in anything that I see. I mean, if I see one office action, I know that's the office action I have to go look at, and that'll be interesting. If I see 10 office actions, I know I'm dealing with a different kind of prosecution, one where there is likely to be quite limiting arguments and claim amendments. And I
Mm-hmm.
just kind of get ready for that. Then I dive into the substance, but at least it tells me kind of what kind of
Yeah.
at a high level prosecution I might be dealing with.
Yeah. Are there other things you look at before like diving into the claims?
I would look at if we were on a patent that had a maintenance fee due, I would look at that as well, because you can from this page access the maintenance fee payment. So like if we were close to the maintenance fee, I would click on that and say, hey, has the maintenance fee been paid? And then I could determine. And then the other thing I do before I dive into the substance is ownership. I want to
Mm-hmm.
know, um, you know, chain of title is a very important aspect to IP patent diligence. You have to, you have to be comfortable that the company that you're investing in or acquiring actually has title. So I'll go to the assignments tab here,
Mm-hmm.
and I can quickly see that. And I saw from the last page we have one inventor, you.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see that, Jeff, that you have assigned to PatentBots LLC, and then there was a name change there. So
Mm-hmm.
later on in the diligence, I will review those assignments, to just make sure they're effective. But pretty good sign here at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning that the inventor is assigning to the company that we're looking in this hypothetical to invest in or buy.
Yeah, great.
Time to look at so at some point you have to dive into the substance, right? And so, but I mean, even before you dive into the claims, I like to do sort of uh, a high level test of quality of preparation. It's one of the things I look at in my diligence reviews is just making a comment on the quality and competency of the preparation, which does require you to put eyes on the patent, but you can also use the handy proofread function here to get a sense of sort of what's going on there.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and click the grant button here, and this will download the issued patent from the USPTO and generate our proofreading report of that issued patent. And that's what's going on right now. Usually it's a little faster than
It's
that.
usually really
Yeah,
fast.
there we go.
Okay.
So this is our proofreading report. Um, I suspect many of you on this call use our proofreading on a Word document. And this is pretty much the exact same thing, but instead of getting the patent from a Word document, we're just getting it from the USPTO. And there's different tabs here for the different kinds of things that we proofread for. So we have claim numbering errors, antecedent basis, word support, whether the words of the claim are supported in the spec, whether important phrases of the claim are supported in the spec. Check your reference labels, figure numbers, and profanity. So this is uh, similar results to what I'm sure many of you are familiar with. So John, for your analysis, what is important to you from the proofreading?
Um, what's important to me from the for proofreading is, I guess the overview is I don't spend a lot of time on that or numbering, but I do go to antecedent basis. I want to see if they have some antecedent basis errors. I mean, there's some basic errors that if I can find out if they have them at the outset, I want to know about it. And I can see here, not surprisingly, that a patent for patent bots doesn't have any antecedent basis errors. There's a lot of green there.
Mhm.
So, you know, that's a good check in the quality box in my view, in my particular opinion. So then I will go to word support. And can you explain this, Jeff, a little bit, like what it's really doing? And I can explain how I
Yes.
use it.
Yep. So here we have the claims of the patent, and the words are highlighted in green, yellow, or red. And the colors correspond to how frequently the word appears in the detailed description. So green means it's there a lot, yellow means it's there, but just a little bit, not a lot. And if there were any red words, that means they don't appear in the detailed description at all. So you can
Mhm.
just glance at this and quickly get an idea, where you clearly have strong support and where you might want to take a closer look.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's how I'll review it as well. I mean, I just if I see if this is reporting back that there are claim terms that don't have word support in the spec, it's something to look into. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's a fatal issue or anything like that, but it is something that I might take a look at and focus on either now or doing my prosecution history review. I might want to look at that term. Phrase support is kind of the same thing. I mean, it's really the same type of way that I use it. Is there anything different about phrase support and word support functionality, Jeff? You want to talk about?
It's pretty much the same thing. I think phrase support is, often like, so reference label text is here in red, but if you highlight just reference label, that appears a lot. And, text also appears a lot. So like this red one, maybe we don't have this exact phrase in the detailed
Mhm.
description, but we talk about text of reference labels. So, you don't need to be as concerned, at least in my view, as a patent prosecutor, about reds in the phrase support as you would
Right.
with words.
But nevertheless, they're clues to, what types of issues you might have. They can clue you in. They can start to like funnel you down to
Yeah.
where you might need to look at
Hmm.
what terms you might need to focus on in the prosecution history review or when you're reviewing the claims. And
Hmm.
that's how I use it. And then I do look at figure numbers.
Hmm.
And oh, did we skip reference labels? Sorry, I
Yep.
look at that
Yeah.
one too.
Yeah.
And I like to see like, oh, they have no errors in their reference labels, but we have some apparent reds here.
Yeah. So I can explain what's going on here. Um, So this is a patent application about analyzing patent applications. So there's kind of like a meta issue here in that we're talking in the abstract about reference labels in a patent. And to do that, we have to have a reference label. So there are not actually any reference label errors here. Um, it's just the nature
Yeah.
of the patent application that makes it a little different.
Yeah, so you don't see this too often. Usually you're seeing either an error or not. You're
Yeah,
not usually reviewing a patent about analyzing patents
right.
that's talking about reference labels. So yeah, these are false positives here, but yeah, something to look into when you see a red.
Mhm.
Figure numbering, yep, I like that it's green. And then I do this, but the profanity, but profanity's in the eyes of the beholder. I tend to just have a few that I focus on. Um, Words that I have seen in my practice or in my reviewing of cases that may cause a problem, like invention or inventions. those can tend to be limiting words. So I might look at that, and I can see the first time here that invention is used. It's just talking about the detailed description of certain embodiments thereof. So that is what it is. It doesn't. You make your own judgment about what that is. I mean, is there another occurrence of it somewhere?
Yeah, there's one at the bottom in the boilerplate at the end.
Okay, so then you have the term at the end where you're talking about invention in connection with embodiments here. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not analyzing this patent, but it's just something I look at, and probably something that minimal. I just kind of move on, and with all the things in combination, make a rough assessment of the quality of preparation just from the proofreading tool.
Mhm. Should we go back to the PatentPlex page?
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
think we want to look at some.
Yeah.
I want to look at some claims. And you're doing this patent or any other patent, just to demonstrate that we're going to be looking at, at any point in your diligence, you have to start reviewing the claims, understanding the claim scope.
Yeah.
So I would like to do Patent Analyzer to do that. That's what I
Okay.
do next.
All right. So Patent Analyzer, it opens up a new window, and it's a user interface to make it easy to basically review claim text. So there's a first column here with the specification, a second column with claims, we have another column with the reference labels, and the main idea here is that you can highlight words and phrases in the claim, and then we highlight them everywhere. So, it will show you where it's highlighted in the specification too. And so when you're doing this, you might focus on words that seem to be more important. So like, HTML element seems pretty important. You could put that in a different color. Um, and maybe event handler, that seems something that might be of significance. And it makes it easy to um, get a good understanding of where words and phrases in the claims are described in the patent.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we're at the point we've talked about, sort of the big picture, the family view, ownership, rough assessment of quality of preparation. Now it's time to read those claims, and reading claims can be onerous. I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, and I still am grateful for any tool that can help me read these claims and jump to their support more quickly. And so this is when I'm doing reviewing my patents. I will have this. I mean, this is how I do it. I will use Patent Analyzer. I will read the claims. I will highlight as Jeff has done. And then let's just say I want to know more about what the reference label is. I'll go over to the spec, and I can find the areas of the specification that are really, have concentrated usage of reference label, and I will probably focus there, as you all would do, to figure out what that claim term means. Can you go to some other areas of the spec and just kind of show? Can you scroll down, Jeff?
Yeah, I just went here because it shows like the yellow, green, and blue all in
Oh,
the
you
same.
got them all there. Yeah, I
Yeah,
see.
which is kind of nice.
Yeah,
Because where you see these terms used in the same paragraph, it's likely a highly relevant paragraph to understanding
yeah.
what's going on in the claims.
I can see that, I should probably focus on this paragraph, and there's probably other paragraphs too, but there's also going to be, areas. Oh, yep, but
Yeah.
areas where it's not being focused on so much. So it's just a useful. I think clear to see how useful that. Oh, this is a section about HTML elements. So maybe if I wanted to learn how the specification is talking about that element, I would go to this section. It really helps focus you in.
Mhm. Yeah.
And if I want to look at dependent claims, that might use those terms or further limit them, you can find it very
Mhm.
quickly. You can see, which claims deal with it. Claim 6, for example, is only about the HTML element and not the reference label. So, I mean, there's endless combinations of ways you can use this, but it does help really review those claims more quickly, economically.
Right. Should we go back to PatentPlex page?
Yeah, so I mean, I've read the claims, and I will
Yeah.
have like read the claims of every patent, but then you also want to understand how the claims, you need to understand how they changed in prosecution, whether they changed and how they changed in prosecution, how the applicant argued those claims, which kind of prior art they faced. So for me, a quick way of assessing like that is both the timeline we talked about, where there's on this one we're going to look at, is there an office action here?
Yeah, there's
One.
one. And I
There's
think
one.
I just know from experience that
Yeah.
the claims here did not change at all
Oh,
during,
they didn't.
like the
Okay.
issued claims match the as filed claims. So to give a more interesting example, I'm going to go to the previous patent where I know there actually were claim amendments and there were 2 office
Two
actions.
office actions.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I like to do here is just select the claims as they were filed.
Mhm. Yeah. So here's the page for doing what we call claim diffs. And in the first column, you can select any version of the claims that's existed. So commonly, people might start with the as filed claims. And then in the second column, you can select a different version of the claims. Like you might select the granted claims. And then if you click claim numbers, we'll do the comparison and show you the difference in the third column. So you can very quickly see exactly how the claims changed from the original filing to the issued patent.
Yeah, which is super useful. I mean, you can see right here, right, one click on this independent claim. What did you have to add in order to get this allowance, and what did you have to take away? You can immediately see that, and that'll tell you, that you need to focus on those terms in your review. But I also like to look at the increments, like when what was added, if that makes sense, Jeff. So like so I might start with as filed
Yeah.
to that first office. I will check publication, by the way. So like if you just did publication, maybe you won't see anything, but can we just
Yeah.
check that?
I know publication is exactly the same as file.
Okay, so
So
Jeff
you can
knows,
skip
so we're
that.
skipping it.
Yeah.
But
Um,
sometimes it does differ.
yeah. And just so people know, these are the dates of the 2 office action responses. So this is the office action response dated January 6, 2023.
Okay, so we can see in here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what changed in that office action. So I would like to, it depends. There's a million ways of working on something, but I might go back to the IFW at this point and check out that office action and that response. So that tells me, what was it, January 6th?
Yeah. Just to give context for people, in the PatentPlex tool, there's an IFW tab where you have a list of the documents in the image file wrapper. And so here's the office action response, and we can open up the PDF quickly, and we can see exactly what arguments were made in the office action response.
Yeah, so we know there was an amendment. The timeline told me, and the claim diff told me that there was an amendment on that date, and then the claim diff told me what the amendment was, and then I want to see what the remarks are. And it looks like the applicant did not agree with the objections. I can see under this 103 heading was not, but is amending the claims to advance prosecution. And you can get a little insight into how the applicant thought about, what they thought about the prior art references. So that's that office action, and we know there's another office action. So what I like to do is just I replace, I want the claims as what I just reviewed, like 1.6, because that was the office action I was just looking at, office action response. And this would have been the next amendment.
Yeah.
This is the next incremental change to those claims. It's like you immediately see that. And it's sort of a rinse and repeat of that process again. I mean, you go back to, I like to go back and, look to that office, the IFW, and look at the office action and the response to get a better understanding of what the rejection was, what the prior art was, and what our amendment was. All toward the purpose of understanding the scope of these claims and whether any of these arguments or amendments are going to limit the scope of the claims.
Mm-hmm. Great. So I think we're getting close to the Q&A part. Is there anything else we want to talk about?
Not from my standpoint. I feel like I talked a lot.
It's very, very helpful. Um, all right. So that was super helpful presentation, John. I really appreciate that. And let's go on and check out the questions that we have. So we got some in here. Open these up. All right. So there's a question in particular about the family trees and whether it includes foreign patents. And the answer is yes. Um, we get the data from the European Patent Office website, and they have nearly every country, I think, that you'd ever care about for patents. So the family trees are very comprehensive in terms of having foreign patents. Let's see. So I got a question about different kinds of patent analysis, John, and um, I'm not sure if you can answer these, but we'll give it a try.
Yeah.
We had a question about whether you would do a similar kinds of analysis for freedom to operate or like an infringement analysis. Is that something
Yeah.
that's part
I
of your
mean,
process?
I don't know that it's it's like there's differences in the output and in the analysis, but the part about understand, like if I'm doing an infringement analysis, I go through many of those same steps.
Yeah.
I need to know, I will check ownership. I will check that I'm, that
Yeah.
the patent that I'm concerned about,
Yeah.
who the owner is. I will check all those reference label, proofreading things that we talked about. But most importantly, I will use those tools to really review the claims. I mean, it's the same kind of thing. I mean, it
Mhm.
might be toward a different end,
Mhm.
but it's very similar. And then what was the other? It was not an
Freedom
infringement.
to operate.
Yeah, same
Yeah.
same thing, really.
I had a very interesting situation with one of my patent clients not too long ago, where I guess I'll say a non-practicing entity was asserting patents against a smaller client. And the first thing I did is I go to PatentPlex to check out the asserted patents. And it turns out one of the patents, they didn't pay a maintenance fee that was due 10 years prior.
Yeah,
So there was a patent that was clearly unenforceable. And for some bizarre reason, this non-practicing entity was trying to assert it. And it's just really nice to just very quickly grab the information you need to understand what's going
yeah,
on. Like almost everything you need is just like at the tip of your fingers, which is really helpful.
yeah. It's like a workspace for me for during
Yeah.
these projects.
Yeah. Someone asked about the real-time data in our tools. Um, so most of the data, well, I have to caveat myself a bit. So we use APIs from the USPTO and the European Patent Office. So for so someone is asking about, how delayed the data is from reality. And the USPTO, they say they update their API data every day. So my understanding is that the data that we get from the USPTO is going to be, pretty much real time, and that the data is going to be very up to date and relevant. Um, the family tree data we get from the European Patent Office, and that is going to be more delayed. So if there's like a new family member in some country, it might be, I don't know exactly how long it'll take, but it might take a week or two for the data to get into the EPO so that we have access to it. So one question, I guess what are like kind of the most common red flags that you might see when you're analyzing a patent portfolio?
Yeah. Breaks in chain of title.
Yeah.
An inventor that didn't assign, maybe one inventor that didn't assign.
Yeah.
That's a big red flag. Um, Heavy amendments and arguments are other they're flags, they're cautionary flags,
Yeah.
because they limit the scope, depending on how they were argued and what the amendments are, and you are many times surrendering your equivalence there, so you're going to
Mm-hmm.
have some scope limitations there.
Mm-hmm.
And then a big red flag for me, like what my clients really appreciate who are making an investment or acquiring a portfolio is like, does this claim even cover
Mm-hmm.
the products or what the company is doing? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's not really a tool. We didn't talk about a tool that does that, but kind of these tools help me get to that conclusion is they're not aligned at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the if the patent doesn't cover it, it's something that people want to know, investors want to know in this example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then there are sometimes you see, it's not common, but you will just see a patent that is, just looks really poorly assembled and put together,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to have all kinds of problems. And it'll
Mm-hmm.
usually show up in the patent review tools that we talked about. But word support. There's sometimes you have claims that have no support at all in the spec for what they're claiming. Yeah, that's another flag. Got to look
Mm-hmm.
into that a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. We got some other questions more about the tools. So one person is asking about unpublished applications. And the tools that we looked at today are only available for public applications. Um, it is possible we could expand them to unpublished applications in the future. We do have some of our tools do work with unpublished applications, but we have not extended that to PatentPlex yet. But that could be something that we do in the future.
And if you're signed into
Yeah.
PatentBots,
Yeah.
right, and it's so you can view your stuff that's associated with your customer number, right?
Not for PatentPlex,
Oh, I see.
but you
Okay,
can for the Office Action Admin and the Office Action
right.
Explorer. Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think this will be the last question we have for today. Again, it's more about the product. Someone asked if there is a way to see differences in inventors. Um,
Hmm.
I actually have to look here. So we don't have the inventors here, but we probably should put the inventors in this family list. That would be a nice thing to add here. That would be very easy to do. Yeah. So,
Just since we're on the wish list,
yeah.
I'd like to thank that person for bringing that up.
Yeah.
It would also be cool, little on the family tree, if a different inventive entity,
Yeah.
if you a different inventive entity, you put a different blotch on the tree,
Yeah.
so something to consider,
Yeah. Um,
because that's cool. That's a good thing to know.
yeah. But one thing we're going to do pretty soon, like in the next month, um, we recently launched this Ask a Gen AI tool that allows you to ask an agent about the patent or the image file wrapper, in particular, the office actions and office action responses. We're going to do a next version of this very soon where you can ask questions about all patents in the same family. So once that is available, it'll be much easier to ask questions about which patents have which inventors.
Mhm.
So not now, but probably within the next month, you'll see that tool available for asking questions like that.
Mhm. Cool.
Great. Well, thank you, panel, for your wonderful discussions today. It's really appreciated. And thank you, all the attendees, for coming. We will make a video recording available afterwards. So if you missed part of it or you want to share with your colleagues, you'll have that video recording to share. And thank you all for coming. And we can let you all get on with the rest of your day. Thank you very much.
Hi.